Hello and welcome to your post-match reaction comments as we're being ambushed by our colleagues. Rangers
Special
have won a
guests here
game.
today.
Rangers have won a game of football at home in the league. What a time to be alive. Hef, you've been with me all day. Just give me your thoughts on what's been a pretty successful day overall for once.
Good to see us actually go out there and try and take control of a game. We were sitting at the start of the game trying to figure out what sort of formation we actually had. It started, it looked as if we had three at the back. Then, and when we were defending the game, it looked like we had four. And what we had said to each other right from the start is, if we don't know, then obviously they don't know. So the opposition on their toes, and I thought that it looked as if from the start of the game that they were taking 1 and 2 touches and moving the ball on quickly, which is something that we've been crying out for. So yeah, I was excited for once in a very long time to see us playing the majority of the game in their half, which was something that we saw probably last week for the first time in a long time with Stevie Smith at the at the wheel, but obviously then that car went skiding off in the second half. So to come out and produce that in the second half as well, I thought showed a real level of confidence in the players to actually go out and see through his message.
It did, and it was a good start, like you say, and then a goal with it. So again, sometimes the season we've started pretty well and gave away the first goal, and it's just been backwards ever since. But when a free kick just near us here in the corner, Tavernier whips it in, Cornelius heads the ball in. It's very simple. Sometimes football, put a good cross in, get a head to it. And it's, I think we all said at the time, it's the start that we deserved, because there have been a couple of maybe not half chances, but opportunities to do something. Very much the game was down this end where we are, and we're sort of pinning Kilmarnock in, but the goal was pretty deserved.
Yeah, as you said, a couple of nearly moments, a couple of Danilo touches the ball, it doesn't quite make it to Miovski's feet, and we're trying to get in the right areas, and then a definite foul. The foul comes from Magoma actually bursting by and taking on their right back, and he done it a few times in that first half, and it actually worked quite well for him. Something that we've probably been quite critical of him is his end, his delivery, and
it's not even that; it's getting to the position to get a delivery in, because sometimes he's a bit safe when he's in front of us here. The fact he's been going back, it's as if, and a few guys said it in the media section here, as if he fancied it today.
Yeah,
he looked that right back for Kilmarnock up and down and thought, yeah, I've got the beating of you. I can take you on, and he's not done that since he came in.
It takes a lot as well, because the criticism's been building on him, and I thought he came in and he was a bit of a breath of fresh air initially, because he did want to go, and then again he kind of went in on himself, kind of shelled away. But I thought that the performance that he put out today was quite a statement. It was quite I want to come out here and show you what I can actually do, and it proves that the end product doesn't always have to be wonderful, because if he's getting in that position, forcing them to make a foul, then we're on to a set piece situation, and anything can happen if we put the ball in a decent place. So for Cornelius to go in there and actually, he seems to be a right threat in there. He seems to be somebody that wants on that ball very often in the box, and with success as well. I mean, we saw the one in the second half as well, where he almost has a kind of scissor kick off the floor. I don't know if he was just trying to get up, but it was a good effort, and it made them make a save. And I thought that, like you said, at that time in the game, we'd been kind of knocking the door, so to actually get that 1-0 probably took a bit of pressure off themselves, but also let them just ease into the game a bit more. And we watched it, didn't we? Kept saying we kept going forward, trying an attack, and it wasn't quite paying off. But instead of just losing possession, we were going back the way, and not in a we're passing back. It was let's take it back out and try again. And there wasn't that negative feeling in the atmosphere of the stadium where it was, we're going back again. It was right, okay, let's try again, because we were going with some sort of momentum. We were going as if there was a directness that we were looking to actually penetrate and score the goal. Whereas to get into that position, to get the free kick, I thought that there was periods of play that were leading up to that we probably could have at least had another couple of shots on goal and challenged the young keeper.
Quite a soft free kick though, wasn't it? Clancy had some game. We'll come on to that, don't worry. But a little bit of a soft one. From then on, but It's a hard one because I think the first half was good.
Yep.
Pretty dominant. Like you say, there wasn't much for Kilmarnock. We were just getting the ball back, going again. Wasn't perfect in the final third. I feel like we were getting to a good point and then maybe wrong decision or a bit slow just to do that final motion, which has been something we've done all season. But as the half was progressing, I don't know if it was the fans or the players. I think everyone had a little bit of an eye on last week where it was a good first 30, 35 minutes and then it kind of was starting to go a bit into a lull. Also, we know how that went last week, but this time it was before half time where we'll go right back because quite a lot happens for their goal. So there's a challenge here on Diomande.
A foul.
Wasn't it? A foul. I said challenge being kind. There is a foul on Diomande, which is right under Clancy. He ignores it, which then leads to Suter doing a pretty bad foul and getting booked himself.
Yeah, no complaints there.
Yeah. From then on, there is complaints, but it's not on the referee. From then on, come on, get out of the pitch, win a corner. Again, I've not seen it back, so if any comments can maybe defend Butland in case something happens here. But to me, it looks like a ball comes over, Butland completely misjudges the ball right underneath it, and the guy's on the goal line to tap it in. Very similar to the Alloa goal this season, which was up the other end, where it's not that one's I think a second contact, but it's someone getting a contact on the ball right on our in the 6-yard box, and it all comes from Butland. I don't know if he's daydreaming, he just misjudges it, but the wind isn't really that bad today. There was no one in around him that I could see. He's got to do better, doesn't he?
Yeah, and what we were speaking about was he's came out in the media last week, and he's obviously came out and said, "Oh,
he's jinxed himself
almost. I've got a lot of mentality problems, and we don't know what goes through some of the players' heads at times." And then he does something like that. It's a kind of eat that moment where you think, actually, maybe I should just keep my mouth shut. But no, I think he's been one of our most consistent players all season, and he didn't have a great season last year. So to come in and be a bit more consistent, I think people have really relied on him this year, and he made up for it with the Bruce Anderson header and later on, obviously. And no, I think it does have a reminder, but we do still have a wee bit of a scare sometimes with these set pieces, and we can't be giving them away so easily. The Suter foul is a natural one because he's going in strong. He can't pull out when he's going in at that pace. But
it's take the ball or take the man at least.
Exactly.
we were under threat if he'd missed that completely.
But I thought that the way in which even the boys just kind of left standing there, like, you'd like to think that somebody in that 6-yard box probably could have maybe just been in there in front. Again, it's hard to say because we were just sitting here straight after the game to look back at it. But maybe that's just a reliance that he has been so consistent that as soon as he goes up there, the team just know he's getting this. Whereas a bit of a mishap for Butland. But I mean, we're talking about that, and we've scored 3 goals to kind of to kind of cover over the cracks with that. So maybe if that stays 1 each, we're blaming him for the result of the game. But the rest of the players for once dug him out a hole. So maybe he does need to go back to them after his comments of last week and say, actually, that's exactly what I'm looking for. And I think that
very good point.
Like what we're saying is he has mishaps.
If he didn't, he wouldn't be at Rangers. Like the point is, he's a very good goalkeeper who's decent with his feet, can do good passing, pretty commanding, but he has that, I don't want to say brain fart and try and sound professional, but it simply is that moment in him, whether it's spilling a simple ball or misjudging the cross. That's why he is here in his prime years.
Exactly, and we're allowed to watch Jack Butland and also criticise it. You know, it's not as if he's not devoid of any sort of criticism just because he has consistent moments. I mean, if any of the second choice or third choice goalkeeper come out here and do that today, they're being chastised. Like that would be terrible. I think we just allow Butland that one and then we move on, probably.
What is good though is that happens, and we've all been in Ibrox a lot this season. We've had mishaps, we've had bad moments, and the crowd have been turning, understandably, for how much we've gone through. But I don't think they did today.
No.
Even with that moment, it's a stupid goal to lose. But half time comes and there's no boos, there's no mass negativity. I think everyone's a bit, oh, here we go again, maybe. That was some of the comments in the press room at half time. But I think we all knew that we were playing better and just had to go again. And it's something that we touched on. We didn't do it last week, but Second half comes, Moore comes on for Majowski, which I don't think Majowski can have any complaints at. He didn't do too much again, sadly for him. But
No.
second half started better, and we grew. And before long, it was 2-1. Just recapping my notes here. But there was that big save from Butland as well. I think that comes after 2-1, I'm right in saying, after Danilo's header.
Yeah.
Yes, so Danilo's header, for me, it's a bit of sort of nothing is happening on the wing. McComa and Diamandi sort of take turns of being about to cross it and then not going to cross it. McComa does just lump the ball in there, but it's a good cross. Danilo with a great header, and we sort of needed that. I know I said the crowd didn't turn or weren't too negative, but we did need something to grab onto, and Danilo stepped up.
Yeah, I think just prior to that, Diamandi had hit that shot into I think it started off, it was going into the Coatland, and then by the time it was finished, it had bananaed into the Govan. So we were in a bit of a downward spiral at that point, thinking if that is a player, like you said, if that is a player on his favoured foot, 20 yards from goal, and he's producing a shot like that, I don't see where this goal's coming from. But like we were saying, is Magoma, he makes that. Do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of like when Tav a few years back would have sat in that wide right position and had that deep lying cross, just digging it out. Yep. And you think he's never getting a ball in there, and he does, and he gets a
commotion.
There's a bit of drama behind us going on in an empty Ibrox. Can't believe that we're still talking about that and we've won 3-1. Anyway, no, it was a deep lying cross. He's just dug it out from nowhere, and there's no pace on the ball, and Danilo still manages to kind of.
It's a really good header.
His neck's almost in on itself. Like he's had to get in that low, and it doesn't need much. All it takes is just a bit of a direction. Nice. I don't know whether or not the keeper touches it onto the post, or it just hits straight onto the post and then it goes in. And I think he couldn't have put it anywhere better for it. I think if he puts it anywhere else, the keeper does manage to get it, and I don't actually think the keeper expects him to hit it in such a great place.
You know what's good? It's very like his goal against Hearts last season, where it was the last minute winner. If you remember, we were getting beaten until like the last minute, and Tav penalty, the Danilo header. I think it's very easy for a striker, especially up against like 6'4" centre backs as he is, to get the header, but not only just to think, I'll get us on target and hope. He's like positioned it into that bottom corner, and Danilo's got his faults. We all know that he's not the perfect striker. I think for years now, Dessers has played ahead of him for a reason. Igaman as well. Obviously, was a special talent that's going to play ahead of him. But what you said to me was really important, that Majowski and Chimiti, pre-game, have both came in and not done too much. Danilo deserved a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's no reason to not give him a go. And again, for me, I don't know if he's better as a 10, as a number 9 with someone else. But if your number 9 isn't firing, he shows he's a good option.
Yeah, and people have been saying out that comment all week of, or not all week, but for several weeks of, we've got a £6 million striker, we've got a £3.5 million striker, and a potentially £10 million striker, and none of them are firing on all cylinders. And then Danny Rowe comes out and makes that comment in the press conference to say that we have a striker, he scores, we take him off, we bring on another striker and he scores. And I never even thought about that as a point in a game, but I thought we've had a chance there. We've had 3 strikers who haven't been firing on all cylinders, and then both of them come on and score. I thought that was a really positive statement for him to make. But last week he's sitting in Edmondson House welcoming fans before the game, and that's what kind of maybe winds me up so much, is that the way in which the club is kind of going, that we have players who we don't actually know how good or bad they are because they're sitting in behind other players who and maybe not getting that chance. So that getting that clean slate for a lot of players will be good, because Martin came in and started him, albeit at that point in time.
He's firing in pre-season, actually. Just come to think of it, he was scoring for fun. He was
scoring, and he seemed to be. But again, we never really think of him as being that, as you said, that number 9. We don't see him as being the man who's going to lead the line for Rangers and score lots of goals. But arguably, I still think he's the best finisher that we have at the club. And in the box, I wouldn't want anybody else to be controlling the ball and putting the ball into the back of the net. And saying that, when we come up against big players, like some of the times, his footwork is obviously a lot sharper than some of the bigger centre halves that we're coming up against. But for that physicality, and then he comes away and scores a header. So, I mean, you can't, I think, to be honest, it's just an all-round great performance from Danilo that you can't really take away from. And as well, you've got to remember, he started the game with a 2, and then he's ended up playing with a mixed mash of formations, and he still manages to dig it out and get a goal and see through the results. So,
and that's all amongst having not played very much football in the last 6 to 8 weeks. Like,
yeah,
he's not, as you say, he's been in Edmiston House. He's been training obviously, but barely got a sniff on the pitch. So quite a statement from him. Yeah, we've had that Bolton save, like I mentioned. I think he kind of redeemed himself. Maybe not fully, but it's a good save by all means at 2-1. And then we see a couple more subs. I've got Dio and Gassama come off, and Barron and Max Aarons come on. It's the first time I've seen him at Ibrox for a while. I don't remember him getting on at all recently. Obviously for reasons at times, but Chermiti then comes on, and it's a strange goal to go 3-1 up, because I'm pretty sure the assist comes from a Kilmarnock player. So a pass square, terrible pass, but goes straight to Chermiti. He then has a couple options left and right, but decides to take the shot on. It's a good strike.
Yeah.
Again, goalie maybe doesn't cover himself in glory, but don't shoot, you don't score. And it probably got the biggest cheer of the day when his name got read out after scoring. Much spoke about all week, especially after the press conference with Kevin Thelwell and trying to defend him, who probably enjoyed that goal in terms of Thelwell, enjoyed that goal more than anyone else in the stadium.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like we've got a bargain there, really. I mean,
it's gone early.
I've been 15 million in January. He's going. We better get our shirts signed just now while we can. Oh, we've got fireworks for Chermiti outside Ibrox as well. No, I thought that he did exactly what you would want him to do there, because if he's not going to try and take on, because he still had a bit of running to do, and I don't think he's backed himself there to actually, from a standing position, because he's not expecting the ball. You were right. I think that he's not obviously expecting the ball to come, and then he's thought to himself, these players are coming at me and they're already got a bit of momentum behind them. I'm just going to have to shoot. And if you're going to do that, what should you do? Hit it with as much power as you possibly can while still getting some control. Now, the keeper does what he has to do. He tries to put a hand on the ball and he ultimately just punches it straight into the top corner. But, I mean, it looked as if it was kind of fired at him with a decent amount of strike, like a decent amount of power. That I don't really think he's got much control over where his hand, when it makes contact, is actually going to go. I mean, we talk about the goal, but some of the play with him up until that point as well, and afterwards, obviously. But I thought his hold-up play was really good. I thought the way that he took the ball in, he was involving the players around him a lot more. Arguably, probably because there were more players around him, and we were maybe in that final.
Look at Thursday night, like we had no one around. I know he had a poor game and missed a couple of half chances, but he never had anyone around him when he got the flick-ons or got his body in the way. He was surrounded by guys. If you put people around him, he kind of showed today that he can link the play, kind of like Danilo was at times as well. They're both quite good control, good first touch, but he seemed like he was kind of playing with a point to prove a little bit, which I can understand. I don't mind it. No, it's fine by me.
I think the point that he's got to prove isn't just about, we talk about the price tag and the price tag being something that's going to weigh on him heavily, but I don't even think the price tag comes into it. I don't think he's shown that he was a £1 million striker for the last couple of games that he's been playing. He's not really showed any sort of signs of why we bought him at all. I think today was a good step in that direction. I'm not saying for a minute, obviously I was joking earlier on, but like, I'm not saying for a minute that the price tag that was paid can be justified, but
you need something, but don't you? You need something to go, okay, that's
what could he have done today to make that? You know what I mean? Is he going to come out here and score 5 goals and then we go, oh, that's him worth 8 million? No, it's going to take time, and I think that when you're going to invest in someone with that for that amount of money, and for somebody to come in and be so raw, you are a wee bit deflated, but hopefully that shows us that there is something there and something to build on, and give him the confidence to come out and say, I've scored here, I can do it again. Because prior to that, we're sitting with 3 strikers who don't even know what it's like to score at Ibrox consistently. So, okay, now the manager's got a bit of a question on his hands of who does he play now.
It's a nice question, but for once,
it is a good question.
All season it's been, oh God, right, you didn't do it, so I'll need to turn. Whereas today, like you say, we've got obviously Majowski's not been great, but Danilo and Chermiti getting goals, good goals, and good all-round play.
Yeah.
It's a nice selection dilemma, which we've just not had
Yeah.
throughout the team all season.
And you've got a new situation in which Majowski was the one who I'd always kind of put it down, and I say it all the time, but like there's this thing of Chermiti looks more of like a kind of striker that you would play in a European game because he is a bit more physical and he could then allow the other players to get on and be a bit more technical. Whereas I think Majowski is
a finisher, isn't he?
He's just a
right
bit of a
place, right
finisher,
time. Yep.
and I think the argument was always that he knows the league. However, Majowski's just came off that park at half time having not had a very good game. Does he have to play his way back in, which would be a great position, because then you've got players that are hungry, wanting to actually get on and prove a point, which I thought that last year Dessers was that player, was that he was getting told, you're not doing enough, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, and then he would come off the bench and score a goal, and you'd think that's what he does. I would love for Majowski to come out, and whether or not he starts on Wednesday, but come out and say, no, this is what I can do, and make a point. Whereas, like you said, we're sitting at the start of this game with nobody firing on all cylinders and everybody with a point to prove. And it's quite easy when it's like that for a player to hide and just kind of hope that something hits off them and goes in and claim a goal. But I think Danilo showed that he wanted on the ball quite a lot. He was dropping in deep. He was floating when it was Majowski, and then when he was the forefront and he was the striker on his own, he was being disciplined and staying in the box, and ultimately got the chance that got him the goal. But I didn't think when I was coming in here today that I was going to. I'd hoped that we would have won, but previous wouldn't suggest that that's a hopeful thought. But I wouldn't have thought that we would have been saying that Chermiti and Danilo would have scored today. If you'd have asked me yesterday what's going to be the starting team and what do you think the result was going to be, Danilo wouldn't have even been in my thoughts, to be honest. And I think it would have been a turn up for the books to think that Chermiti was going to score the third goal. So, yeah, I'm very, very pleased to see some of these players who have been not performing so well actually come out and do it.
Yep. And 3-1 almost, and looked like at times it was going to become 4-1. We had the Cornelius chance that we mentioned earlier. Moore has a strike that's unlucky. It sort of just deflects the wrong side of the post. I thought Moore was good as well.
Yeah, Moore was good.
Someone not mentioned, I saw a comment or two about him. Again, I wouldn't say changed the game. It's maybe a little bit of a stretch, but
I think he
was
changed
where he
his
should have
game.
been. Yeah, he was very involved. Again, it's similar, Stephen. It's such a... You used the word fluid at some point because the formation was fluid and we weren't really... I'm still not sure how they were set up or what the exact plan was, but I like that idea because we've been so static and rigid at times this season. It's nice to see, like, oh, there's Moore popping up here, there, where Danilo's moved over, where's Majowski there? Like, it was just refreshing in a way to see some differences. And again, like we touched on it, Lyle Cameron comes on, plays 10-15 minutes, but looks energetic, brings something. Mikey Moore brings something. Chermiti comes on and scores. Max Aarons again comes on and does all right. Like, when you win a game like this, it should just build confidence throughout the whole setup, and it's something Danny Rowe touched on. Like, one game isn't going to make this a good season. We know that's a long way to go, but you have to start that somewhere.
Yeah,
and hopefully that was today.
That's what I was going to pick up on, because when we got the chance there to speak to Danny, I'm calling him Danny now, as if he's my mate. Good mate of mine.
Another handshake in the bank.
I don't know if you good and tagged him. No, when we spoke to Danny Rowe there, and obviously somebody had posed the question, he actually answered and said in the second half we had 3 10s and a 6.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like, obviously you just assume that you know where they're playing in the park, but you just assume that 2 of those 3 in the 10 position would then be wider players. But for him to come out and actually say, no, it's not that, it's just 3 10s and a 6, it was quite eye-opening to me to think that, just maybe a naivety to think, oh, well, that's where they're playing.
Yep.
But the point on Mikey Moore is a good one, because I actually thought he did really well at forcing their left back to make lots of silly fouls, because he just kept cutting inside, and then the next minute he would be over on the left wing, and then he's picking up the ball in his own half. I thought he had a bit more of a free rein, and then it maybe stopped him from being so isolated out on that wing where he was forced into a lot of 1v1s. He could actually skip by players into space in the middle of the park and link up with players. And I thought that was a real strength of his today. And I've been dead critical of Mikey Moore. I've not thought he's had a good. I didn't think he's had a good start to his Rangers career. However, I thought that today was quite impressive, the way that he took on the ball and didn't shy away and was looking hungry. And Max Aarons, when he came on, it made sense actually, because when we were playing with that back three with the two kind of maybe wing backs, maybe wingers, don't know, when he came on for Gassama, it actually maybe made sense, because at that point in time we maybe were looking for someone to be a bit more disciplined and weren't desperate to try and penetrate and get through up and down that wing. And Gassama wasn't really getting much joy, to be honest, anyway. So I thought that it was quite a turnaround. And I also thought that, strangely enough, when Diomande came off and we had Barn in there, it tidied up the midfield as well, because he had a bit more legs in him to break in and cut in the lines and intercept passes that when Kilmarnock were trying to crack on, but they just didn't come out in the second half at all.
I don't know if that's them not coming out or us just really controlling a game for once. It's something that we kind of spoke about before we even came live here, is that used to come to games like this, you'd win 2-0, 3-1, whatever. It would just be quite a bog standard game. Mm-hmm. Nothing flashy, not in the end of season reel, nothing like that, but just business.
Yep.
And I think that was what today felt like for me. It was very much, we'll have most of the ball, we'll have most of the chances, we'll restrict them to very little. And don't get me wrong, Butland's had to make a good save. They have scored a goal. They have had their moments. But as Danny Rowe touched on, like today was hopefully a good step forward. It's a bit of normality, I guess, but back at Ibrox, winning a game. Is it a stretch to say that?
That was the reality of it, was that we are excited about the fact that we are now back into the top six. And to be fair, we all have been speaking. I think we've had various chats with Carol Vorderman over the week to talk about, well, if he gets 3 points here and then and this happens, and then if they get this and they get that, the fact is that it's not that far away to think that we could still win games of football and be in contention at this stage. I'm not saying that it's close. I'm not saying that for any. I'm not
being clip now. I know you said it.
I'm not being naive to the idea that we could still go on and win the league, but I think the idea that the league is over, there's no point in even trying to compete or anything like that. We don't have to do anything crazy. We have to go out and beat teams primarily at home, which we've really struggled to do, but we need to just go and try and win games of football against teams that numerically, financially, we should be beating. And that today, it was routine. We should be beating Kilmarnock at home, but we did it. And we've not seen that all season. What was the stat? That we've not won a home game in the league since 14th of May. 14th of May. So we are used to seeing Rangers win at home, and we are maybe a bit used to that, and maybe that sits on us, and we need to realise that actually there have been new managers and there has been a bit of disasters going on behind the club, but we're here now and we've won. So let's push on for here and let's see how things go. And if we win on Wednesday, I think that's a massive turnaround.
Oh yeah,
and then
that's huge.
Imagine that momentum of having won those two games going into next week. I think that there will be a right buzz about the place and people will be excited to go to the games again, which is a nice feeling to have.
So what you're saying is we're back. That's what you're just dancing around. Yes,
we're back, baby.
Yes. We'll wrap it up there. It's been a good day. It's been another weekend. It's been a rare weekend where Rangers haven't ruined things. It's been pretty positive. Again, we've had press conference with Danny Rowe, and the comments from that are on our X page. Just the usual jargon here. If you can like the video, subscribe. We always appreciate that stuff. We'll be back with our podcast on Tuesday night. We're also on Wednesdays, a post-match after Hibs. So hopefully we're still smiling then, and we roll on to the weekend from that. But thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next time. Cheers.